Hello, everybody. My name is EarthBound, and today we're going to be talking about a light novel called "Didn't I Say to Make My Abilities Average in the Next Life?" Now, I've been reading this yesterday. I read half of it last night, and then I read the rest of it today. And I just finished reading it, and all I gotta say is this book is amazing. Like this author is amazing. Funa is a really amazing person. I'm probably gonna check out the rest of her work. I'm assuming that it's a girl, even though that could probably be a guy. But I'm assuming that Afuna doesn't really sound like a guy's name; it sounds like a girl's name. So I'm just gonna say that. But apparently, when you get to the end of the book, she like tells her story and stuff like that, and then she says that she like was just posting her stories on a website until she got noticed, and then she's been doing works. And apparently, before this book, she posted another book that is apparently a book. So I might need to check out that to see what that's like. But this book is pretty interesting. This is a book where I have to say by its quality, like in terms of everything, like the art that they have in certain pages is pretty good, even though that basically just reading the writing. Now, even though that there are a couple of spelling mistakes, they were really good at trying to make sure to translate this to English, like the people that distributed it to the states and stuff like that. And all I gotta say is that this book, like, people need to buy this book. Like, you need to read this book because it has a really interesting story, even though that it is a normal one. But just for the characters and the way that the main character acts and stuff like that, she's like. So basically, the premise of the story is that she gets sent. Pretty much, she like. Uh, in the real world, her name is the main character's name is Misato, and then she like saves a girl from dying, and then she ends up dying, and then she gets sent to heaven to talk to God because God sends her there, and that reminded me of Summon to Another World with a Smartphone, where the guy met up with God. So basically, she meets up with God, and then God tells her, "I'm sorry for you dying, but you dying was never supposed to happen. That kid was actually supposed to die, and I was trying to save her, but you were the only person that saved her. So then he said I would give you a new life." So then she like wants to get sent to like another world, but she doesn't want to get sent there because I meant she wants to like the god said, "I'll send you to a world full of magic," stuff like that. Would you want to have like would you want to be stronger than everyone else? But then she said that she doesn't because in the real world she's super smart and she was like beautiful, but everyone always praised her and everyone was always like treated her like a god. So in this world, she wants to be treated like a totally average girl, just like in the title. Didn't I say to make my abilities average in the next life? So then when she gets sent to the other world, she finds out gradually throughout the story that she isn't actually average and that she is completely different because apparently there's a scale on strength in this world where if you're number 0, that means that you're just a regular human. Or I think number level 1 is a human, but if you're level 10, that means that you're like a god. And apparently the god like pretty much God just said, "I'm gonna put you at number 5 because that's average in this world." So she's like stronger than a regular human, and she's also like close to God level. And then she finds out as she goes through the world that she needs to hold back because she wants to be treated super normally. So, and a lot of people think that she's faking her personality and stuff like that, and faking her strength when she's in battles and stuff like that. But this series reminded me a lot of that time I got reincarnated as slime, because in that series, the slime talks to this otherworldly being, and in this book, it happens again where this girl talks to these things called nanomachines, and apparently these nanomachines are like the magic in the world. They're like these invisible machines that make it so that way the humans are able to use magic and stuff like that. And that seems really interesting. There's a lot of long conversations with this being. That like it's a lot more than in reincarnation of a slime, and they're a lot sassy. Even like the main character is super sassy when she's talking to classmates and stuff like that because she's an 18-year-old girl that's in a 10-year-old body because she got put into a different body when she got reincarnated, and then when she was 18 she was like Japanese, but in this world I guess that she is still Japanese unless she's a different one, and she was like put into a royal family, but then she got kicked out of the royal family and she got put into a school. The first arc in this story I would say is pretty well done with her trying to make friends and stuff like that because in the real world she didn't have friends, but in this world she did, and like her friends are pretty interesting. There's pictures at the beginning of the book, like in other books, where it's colored, and then she makes friends with this girl called Marcella, and when she got reincarnated, her name changed. So instead of it being Misato, it's Adele. So she makes friends with this girl named Marcella. When she first got introduced, I thought that she was going to be a tsundere or like a bitch character, but then she ended up being really nice when she got to know Adele and knowing her situation and stuff like that. And then the other two friends, Monica and Arena, was pretty cool. I also like it how the nanomachines are able to talk to Adele and Adele's able to talk to them. And then as she's talking to them, she learns that she is really good at magic in this world because of her previous life, and she's able to have like a really nice imagination in order to use magic at a much powerful level. And because of that, she's able to teach people. But whenever when she teaches someone in this book, she always says, "Once I've taught you how to use magic properly in this world, I need you to keep it a secret because I don't want everyone in this world to become super powerful and become way too much of a burden for me." So then she teaches Marcella, Monica, and Arela like all of these abilities, and apparently Monica and Arena weren't able to use magic whatsoever. But once Adele taught them, they were able to use it powerfully. And then Marcella was already powerful or like somewhat decent, but then once Adele taught her, she was really good. And then the whole entire school arc, even Adele facing off against the boy that keeps on wanting to challenge her to a fight, but then Adele keeps on beating him without using her true strength, and it makes him angrier. That whole entire story arc, even her working at a bakery and being a cute girl, was pretty good, and the storytelling is pretty cute and stuff like that. I really recommend this book, like I said before. Uh, my favorite part in this book, I would say, is when she pretends to be a goddess because she like is trying to pretend to be a totally average normal girl, at working at a bakery and going to an above average school, but then like she ends up trying to save a boy from getting killed by a guard that's protecting the princess of like the kingdom that she's in. And there's multiple kings in this story. I got confused at some point because there was a king mentioned near the end of the book, and I thought that it was the king that Adele was supposed to meet earlier in the book, but it was a different king because she went to a different kingdom. And so then she protects this boy, but then she uses a power that she wasn't supposed to use. She uses a shield from an anime because she's able to use her magic very like well because she has a good imagination, and the nanomachines listen to her. Which a lot of this conversation that I'm having in this review might not make sense, but I just wanted to talk about it and discuss it because it's a very interesting book. So basically, she protects the kid using this yellow magic shield. Like I was imagining this in my head. Like this series needs like a lot of people need to buy this book, and then if it gets a manga in the future, people need to buy that. And this series needs to become an anime because this series like would be amazing as an anime. Just imagining how fast this story is, doing that in 10 chapters. So much has happened. Like she went to school, then she like left, then she went to another school, and then she became a part of a guild, and she's a part of this team of people. And then in the second color page, you see her friends that she makes later in the story when she leaves. So basically, she pretends to be a goddess because she has like these all because she's able to like she's like level 5 in terms of power in this world. So basically she's like almost as strong as God, since she pretends to be a goddess and pretends to have a goddess controlling her body when she's in front of guards and the princess. So then she like lies to them in order to make them believe that she's being taken over by a goddess and being super powerful to save the little boy. Since she saves the little boy, but then she tells the guards and the princess that she's a goddess controlling like a vessel of a little girl, and that she says that when she returns back to her previous self that the goddess is leaving her body to go off somewhere else. And when she like goes back to her regular self, she pretends to act like in front of them, pretends to act like in a drama class, and then persuades them to pretend that she's a regular girl. So then she does that, but then the king wants to meet her, but then the king sends a guard to get her, but then when they went to her, she said, "Oh, I'm not the real girl. You should actually look at my stepsister." Because apparently, when she got kicked out of her royal family, the stepsister was going to take over for her in her royal family. So then once that invitation happens, they go like the her stepsister ends up going to see the king instead. But then the princess that wanted to meet like Adele wasn't able to meet her, but instead met her stepsister. So then the king was just like isn't this father and daughter the girl that you were looking for? But then apparently the princess looked at the king like with no emotion and just said, "I don't know these people." So then they ended up like getting thrown into a dungeon because they were the wrong people. But then there's also this thing with because of Adele's relationship with her royal family, they're like in bad terms. So then they're like in very bad terms. Or if Adele said her true family name at her school, then she would get killed by them. So then they got thrown in the dungeon. And even though that they deserved it, like her family, because they were like pieces of shit, I actually felt kind of sad because they were like they were really like feeling nice getting sent to the royal palace, but then they got sent to a dungeon. So that story probably isn't going to go anywhere, but I really want Adele to see her family and see what happens. And then after that, she ends up leaving school and also leaving the kingdom because she doesn't want people to know about her true abilities. And she leaves, and she goes to a guild, and then she ends up entering this school for a guild, and she makes new friends. And she makes friends with a girl named Mavis, which is a knight girl, that looks mostly like a boy, which Adele does addresses. And there's also this red-haired girl named Reina that uses fire magic. And then there's also this Pauline girl with brown hair that also uses a little bit of magic, but mostly doesn't use it. And there's a really cool contrast with that, how she was able to make friends, which she wasn't able to do in her other world in Earth. But I also like how like the girls, even though that there's a contrast between them and they seem the same, like you can definitely tell a difference between all the characters and all their personalities. And I really enjoyed the way that they interact and the way that they interact with each other. I've said that twice, but they're really good. Even like later on at the ending of the manga, when she's in like the graduation party of her guild school. Of her hunter school, like she like fights off against this Gren guy that's a master swordsman at class A rank. There has these classes in this hunting school where it's class F to class S, and then S is after A if you play a Sonic game. Which I'm talking pretty fast, but I'm just trying to get through this really quickly because it's a really interesting book, like I've said before. So then he ends up fighting her, like he ends up fighting Gran at full strength, and then stuff like that happens, and there's just a very like comedic moments in the series that really work well, and that's all I really need to say about this series. I've pretty much just been discussing what's happening in the book, but basically my favorite part was the goddess part, and then my favorite part after that was the ending of the manga when everyone was fighting each other. Like Adele also changed her name again when she became a part of the a part of the hunting guild, where she changed her name to Mile because she wanted to change her first name when she was a part of Earth. Her name was Misato, but then she wanted to shorten the name to Mile. And I found it pretty weird how she changed her name 3 times in this story. I guess twice after Misato, but it was pretty interesting how that happened. Especially how people can't like you would think that people would recognize her and stuff like that. But I guess they did mention at the ending of the book where they said that because Adele's good at carving figurines and stuff like that, as good as the figurines that anime stores sell, she ends up selling figurines of her and her friends. So she's probably going to be found out at the ending of the book because they mentioned that a noble from her homeland with the first school that she was at is going to bring the figurines to that school. So they'll see what like where she's been and stuff like that. But Volume One of Didn't I Say to Make My Abilities Average in the Next Life? It's a pretty good manga. I would like give it like an 8 or a 9. It was really interesting, really good. And other than that, that's all I really need to say. So if you've enjoyed this review, leave a like. If you didn't, then leave a dislike. But I would really recommend this manga. You should really check it out, whether it's online or getting it at the store. This book was, for me, it was about $15, so it's not that much money. You should be able to get it pretty fine, but it's a good read. I really recommend it. So yeah, I gotta see you guys in the next review or video, and bye. This was a good time. Bye.